A very timely clip came across my feed.
Here are some things that I hear in my DMs about
I want to hear. Tell
Gen Z
me
in the workplace. So when asked to come in for an 8 a.m. meeting, my Gen Z new hire said, "Ugh, sorry, I can't make it. I have a workout class." Should this be allowed?
This is called the Demoted Podcast. Apparently it's with Natalie and Corp.
Welcome back to Demoted.
Episode 2.
I'm Corporate Natalie.
And I'm the enigma known as Corp.
This sucks.
And if you don't know who we are, why the hell are you here?
There's absolutely no reason for you to be here.
Yeah. They're not wrong. There's no reason for you to be here.
Hi, everybody out there, DYOJO Nation.
DYOJO is the Do Your Own Job Dojo.
Sweep the leg.
Curated by John Isaacson, contractor,
Can I inspect your home?
author,
There's nothing like it out there.
and mediocre podcast host.
Nicely done on keeping it together.
The DYOJO Podcast.
Should be listening to you.
Helping contractors shorten their dang learning curve.
If I made it this far into the podcast, I would be wondering, where is this going? Because these people sound terrible.
Completely.
I mean, okay, so like...
And I don't disagree,
Completely.
but I think the point that they bring up is actually an important one, because there's some subtleties there that I think are important for business owners, managers, supervisors, as well as people coming up in the trades.
Buckle up, because we're going to walk you through everything.
They discuss Gen Z.
Whew. Welcome back to Demoted.
What a week.
And apparently it didn't go so well, what they were supposedly sharing as a skit, as a question from an audience member. So let's take a look at this.
We got canceled this past week.
We got full-on canceled. We had a good run.
The clip starts with her saying she got feedback in her DMs from people asking questions. This is the scenario.
When asked to come in for an 8 a.m. meeting, my Gen Z new hire said, "Ugh, sorry, I can't make it. I have a workout class."
Anybody that's owned a business or been in a supervisory role knows the pain that comes with a last minute, hey, I can't show up to work. But is that what we're dealing with here?
When asked to come in for an 8 a.m. meeting,
Okay, so let's be clear. In this scenario, the employee's being asked to come in for an 8 a.m. meeting. So not necessarily for their regular shift. Okay. So the employee's being asked to come in for an 8 a.m. meeting. Because it's a point of discussion, I would assume this is not part of their regular hours. We can maybe assume this is a 9 to 5 employee. Honestly, I'm not going to go so far into the weeds because I couldn't stand doing the research.
a wild ride.
Assume the emergency position.
Yes, precisely.
So these two podcast people feel like they have a lot to share.
And we'll go into our tips here in a moment, but...
Natalie and Corp discuss the nuances between Gen Z and millennials in the workplace. Features a heated debate on whether Nat is a customer.
This sucks.
So we have what this DM person wrote into the show, that second episode, asking them a question about dealing with Gen Z employees. So this is what the host, Natalie and Corp, their response is.
My visceral reaction was, are you kidding me?
No, fully, like anger, typing this out. I was like, please.
So we'll address some of what their response is to the rollout, and not everything that was presented by the gentleman who said he was an employee was accurate. But this is their response. These people that have a podcast that are discussing the importance of what businesses should do with Gen Zs and millennials. This is 100% them.
Like, my hand's shaking and it's not from the caffeine.
You just started this job. I don't give a flying shit about your workout.
Again, question into the podcast show about how to deal with the Gen Z employee.
When asked to come in for an 8 a.m. meeting, my Gen Z new hire said, ugh, sorry, I can't make it. I have a workout class.
Our podcast hosts are clearly not for it.
I was like, please.
Like my hand's shaking and it's not from the caffeine.
I'm so bad right now. I don't even know what to do.
Also, an 8 a.m. workout class is too late. Work out at 6, maybe 7.
Or after work if you're not a morning person.
Question for the audience. Should people tell you why they're asking for time off? Is it beneficial to the employer, the supervisor, the employee, or the team? Does it benefit anyone to know why someone's asking for time? So, for example, this whole thing, my Gen Z employee wouldn't come in for an 8 a.m. meeting. That we don't know when the request was made. We don't have that context. I'm not digging into it because I'm not watching more footage. But if you take the reason out of it, does it change it? My Gen Z employee won't come to an 8 a.m. meeting. Why? I don't know. Do we even have a show or anything to talk about?
To monopolize your calendar for things that I would consider to be personal time.
What did he just say? Monopolize your calendar for things that are considered to be personal time? So I guess, again, he's probably talking about your work calendar. But I think it just, again, you take the reason out of it. Are these particular people, the person maybe that asked the question, that upset?
That's going to be a no for me, dog.
Anyone else confused? Like they're trying to fit in, but they're shitting on?
You're not really allowed to do that when you're first starting your career. I'm sorry.
No.
We want to thank our sponsor.
I will not bow to any sponsor.
Epic Estimates. Any estimate, anywhere, anytime. Let the award-winning Epic Estimates help your team write the next Xactimate or Symbility estimate, freeing your team up to do what they're good at while helping your business maximize productivity and profitability. The Restoration Industry Association. Connect and collaborate with your industry peers through the largest nonprofit professional trade association dedicated to the unique plight of restoration contractors. Join us April 8th through 10th, 2024 in Dallas, Texas for the RIA Convention and Industry Expo.
Actionable Insights has built the Actionable Xactimate profile, which provides live estimating guidance while you work in Xactimate to help your estimating team avoid costly mistakes. Create accurate, more complete estimates with the Actionable profile. It's a no-brainer for anyone looking to upgrade their Xactimate estimating workflow. No more estimating mistakes, no more missed line items.
How to Suck Less at Estimating. Habits for Better Project Outcomes. Book number 4 by John Isaacson. This is available in paperback as well as an interactive course available through our friends at Restoration Technical Institute. Gain valuable insights on setting your estimating team up for success, processes and procedures for good sketches, detailed photo documentation for claims, how to level up as an estimator, and field resources such as using Xactimate for materials list and budgeting. By taking the 6-module course, again through our friends at Restoration Technical Institute, you can gain 6 hours of self-paced instruction that are eligible for continuing education credits with the IICRC. Thank you to our sponsors. Please let them know that you heard about them on the DYOJO Podcast.
You have entered the DYOJO Podcast.
You're not really allowed to do that when you're first starting your career. I'm sorry.
No.
This is another amazing. So it's like these people had the Devil Wears Prada bosses, right, where they had to give up everything, and then now that they're in positions of leadership, power, authority, whatever you want to call it, they hated it. Now they want to repeat it, and that's just maybe I'm touching more on a personal point of mine. When you go through it, maybe to some degree you understand some of the things and some of the ways that you learned were helpful, but ultimately to complain about something, to swear that you'll change something, and then get into a position where maybe you can influence that change and you just repeat the old patterns is frustrating.
That's going to be a no for me, dog.
The record states,
When asked to come in for an 8 a.m. meeting, my Gen Z new hire said, ugh, sorry, I can't make it. I have a workout class.
doesn't give the context of when. the request was made? Same day? The day prior? A week prior?
An 8 a.m. workout class is too late.
May we enter into the record the rebuttal by said employee?
It was made very clear during the interview process.
I think we got to make a caveat. This is the internet. You can't believe anything that you see or hear on the internet, though it took the internet by storm for a short period of time. Apparently this person wasn't an employee of our podcast hosts.
I have never met this person, and she is my one and only employee. I cannot reiterate that enough. I just need to say
You've never had another employee.
I've never had another employee.
Right.
Even though that was set up as somebody else calling in.
It was made very clear during the interview process that the working hours for this position is between 9 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and I am on Eastern Time. Sure, I can make a sacrifice to go to an 8 a.m. meeting had I known at least a week before that I needed to go at 8 a.m., not a day before.
Ugh, sorry.
Details.
My visceral reaction was,
I think Gen Z might have you on this one.
To be fair, they did give tips to anyone listening to their podcast when this was initially brought up.
And we'll go into our tips here in a moment, but
what's funny is people had a visceral reaction to this person presenting themselves as the employee.
So I sent an email to HR about this and sent them the link to that TikTok video.
Even though they're not the employee of the podcast host, their point is well stated and probably applies to many employment scenarios.
Many of those comments are demanding that Natalie, as this guy's boss, apologize to him.
The podcast host may be able to say, hey, we weren't the one that came up with this equation, but their responses were completely their own.
I was like, please.
like, my hand's shaking and it's not from the caffeine.
I'm so bad right now. I don't even know what to do.
Okay, so we have the question from an imaginary employer. We have the response of the podcast host. And now we have the retort from this imaginary employee.
Okay, let's just say I skipped the gym. 2 things. When can I expect you to reimburse me for my class? And 2, are you going to be paying me from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. or at the very least, let me leave at 4 p.m.?
Okay, hold up, Gen Z.
Okay, let's just say I skipped the gym.
Again, do or don't, we don't need an explanation.
2 things. When can I expect you to reimburse me for my class?
Stop it.
And 2, are you going to be paying me from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. or at the very least, let me leave at 4 p.m.?
Okay, now we're talking fair. Asking you to come in early so you can also leave early.
So I sent an email to HR about this and sent them the link to that TikTok video.
Funny because employers are saying, oh, we just want people to do their jobs. If they just show up, if they just stick around. And
Should this be allowed?
then there's this nonsense about, not paying attention to the details but expecting other people to do so.
The working hours for this position is between 9 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
And then the flip side, yeah, sometimes the requests, demands, or posture of some of the younger generations is a little...
My visceral reaction was,
and assess what you both want, and maybe we can come up with a mutually beneficial decision.
ugh, sorry.
Was this moment in their retort where they wanted to clarify a few things?
Now, I do want to be clear, buried in kind of this is that he did have actually a really good message that
Truly.
I think both of us do agree with, fundamentally agree with, about companies not forcing you to work outside of hours and, and work-life balance and those things, obviously, which we think are super important.
I can concede that certain elements maybe of this were blown out of proportion and there were inaccuracies that got picked up on social media. Shocking. But do I remember correctly, this was your response?
My visceral reaction was, are you kidding me?
No, fully, anger, typing this out. I was like, please.
Are you struggling to find ways to engage with young professionals in the workforce? P2T, the new book by John Isaacson.
Largest generation in the workforce for the next few decades.
Create a competitive advantage for your business.
You've got to learn to deal with us.
2T, preparing to thrive in the modern workplace.
With the younger generation, it's way different.
My new book will help you better engage young professionals and help you articulate a pathway to success.
You've got to show them a path to success.
That is a win-win for employers and employees. P2T, provide new hires with a path to success.
Communicate value and that there's opportunity, then they might stick around.
Honestly, one of the lessons here is maybe be careful what you air out in public.
If this false information that he's making up was true, of course
we would apologize, and you'd have to apologize.
You would apologize. Oh my gosh!
And I would disown you.
Be careful what you put in emails, right? Because it was on a podcast, it's public record.
Yeah, you would totally disassociate your brand from mine if that was true.
Of course.
Again, like disassociate your brand. I don't like.
Of course.
But these might be things that we discuss maybe behind closed doors. So maybe that's one of the lessons. Be careful who you bounce your ideas off of.
What a week.
I think one of the obvious things here is make sure there's people in your circle that can check you, that aren't just of this hive mindset of, yeah, employees are bad.
My visceral reaction.
They're stupid. And maybe someone say,
this is not okay.
Is there somebody in your inner circle, if you're in a position of leadership, that can say, well, how much warning did you give them? Was it clear? Are you going against what the employment agreement was?
Honest conversations.
I can remember early on, I had a job at the pool, cleaning up the pool, and loved the job. There was a lady there that ran the aquatic center that some people loved or hated. I got along with her really well. I really liked working the morning shift. You came in, you clean everything up before even the employees come in. And so I did that. I think that was my freshman year, and or maybe even 8th grade. I lived near the pool. And then the next year I came back, I had a job at the burger shop. And so I wanted to keep that, but I thought, man, I'm coming back with experience. I can work the morning shift. That would be preferable for me. And so when I applied, I made that very clear on the application. When I went to the interview, I interviewed with the new city director or whatever their title was. I told them the same thing. They said, yeah, you're coming back with experience. This would be great. Morning shift is great. Not a lot of people want that. And I think I filled out, like what days you weren't available, and it was most evenings.
It was made very clear during the interview process.
And so I was like, on weekends I could work or something like, I don't remember, but I was very clear. I have another job. I want the morning shift. I'm coming back with experience. So then the shift comes out, and they like double booked me for something I was already working at with the burger shop. And that was my main income. And the only reason I wanted this job was I could have 2 jobs. I could go to work, have my life, and then work evenings at the burger shop. And so I called the supervisor, and I was like, hey, I don't want to make a stink, but I noticed you have me on this shift. I made it real clear in the application. I made it real clear when I interviewed with you, and then even made it clear, I think we had some kind of a follow-up call that, I want AM shift. You said that'd be great. I'm coming back with experience. A lot of people want to work that shift. And I remember him saying, I thought he was going to be like, oh, simple fix, sorry, we missed it. We'll get that fixed, no worries. But he was like,
you just started this job. I don't give a flying.
You got to make a decision. You want to work here or not? Or are you going to be something like, lazy and make excuses all of your life? And I was like, even as like 14, 15-year-old, I was like, make excuse? What are you talking about? Like, you're the one that is misremembering this course of events. And I said, yeah, I said again, I thought that in my head, you idiot. But like I said, hey, I just want to remind you, like, do you not remember I put that on my application, that we talked about that in the interview, and up until the point of this schedule coming out, it was never an issue. And he goes, wow, you're going to have to make a decision.
Like, my hand's shaking and it's not from the caffeine.
And I was like, well, I guess I made my decision then. I'm going to keep my regular job at the burger shop, and if you don't have an opening for me on the morning shift, then I guess you're going to have to find somebody else. He goes, I guess we will then. And I was like, and so I know there's parts of this where some people can be insufferable the way they present it.
So people were not happy.
Not happy.
I think the main thing I would take away from this is, man, take the reason out of it. So as a staff, just be like, hey, we do not want to know the reason you want time off. The only questions we ask is, did you ask for it through the proper channels? Give us as much notice as possible, or if you actually have a policy that says it has to be personal time, has to be this or this. But again, I even disagree. Some people say sick time shouldn't be personal time. It's like, it's all lumped into personal time off, right, that you provide. So people should be free to use it. And maybe if we didn't make it as hard for people to use it, it wouldn't be as much of an issue.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Take the reason out of it. As a company, were we not clear enough on what the expectations were? Did we state that there would be these 8 a.m. meetings?
So people were not happy.
Not happy.
And if it was this, surprise all-staff meeting or something like that, or is it just this person being singled out? All those things come into account. I mean, regardless, as organizations, we need to be clearer and more consistent, especially if that's what we're asking from our employees.
Great story, compelling and rich.
Thank you for tuning in to the DYOJO Podcast. We hope you were informed.
Yeah, so I've learned something here.
And entertained.
Are you not entertained?
DYOJO.com/podcast. You can buy John a beer, you can support the show, or you can buy one of the books I've written. The last one being How to Suck Less at Estimating.
What am I supposed to do?
And you can find them on Amazon.
There's nothing like it out there.
We got canceled this past week.
We got full on canceled. We had a good run.
Oh, cue the sad music.
I mean, okay, so what a week.
Whew. We got canceled this past week.
That's
completely
canceled.
Whew. What a week.
That's
completely
canceled.
Whew. What a week.
We got full on canceled.
Completely.
That's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Canceled.
We had a good run.
Canceled. Whew. Canceled.
Be a no for me, dog.
Canceled.
One thing I don't like about this canceled thing
Canceled.
is the victim mentality, especially when maybe you get called out for being a jerk.
Like my hand's shaking and it's not from the caffeine.
A lot of this story got misinterpreted in the sense that they're reading a question from a listener, and this person that presented themselves as an employee was an employee of the podcast host. But again, their responses were 100% their own.
My visceral reaction was, are you kidding me?
No, fully, anger, typing this out. I was like, please.
I think that's what they got called out for, especially the format they were trying to present themselves in. You're not always getting canceled. You're not always, and if you're always looking to blame somebody else, then you're never going to find solutions.
This sucks.
Canceled.
If you're always looking to blame somebody else,
canceled,
then you're never going to find solutions.
Canceled.
Find solutions.
Canceled.
So you may be fortunate enough to avoid going on a podcast that goes viral for something that you said that may or may not have been taken out of context and gets you canceled or gets you in trouble. But we definitely have to understand as business owners, managers, people in supervisory or leadership roles, that many times the issues that we face, we have to look in the mirror and see our part in it.
Mindset change.
Maybe we don't take full blame, but if you want to change the outcomes, you have to at least recognize your role in getting there. And what are those mindsets or habits that may be setting you back?
So last episode, we went through some, I can't remember what it was called, like terrible job descriptions. This is from BuzzFeed, 23 nightmarish job descriptions I can't believe are real. And these were literal job descriptions posted online. So we're going to review a few more of those because I think they're really good at showing maybe at one point you can see yourself in some of these where you think what you're communicating is getting the message across, but when you actually take a step back and look at it through somebody else's eyes, you're like, we probably could have been clearer there. As frustrated as owners and managers are about the lack of what they perceive as quality from the applicants, some of these kids that are still in high school or just freshly out of high school are expressing a lot of the same frustrations. Like they go to apply, no one calls them back, or it says it's for entry-level positions, but they want a laundry list of prior experience. Obviously, that's not your company. This is from BuzzFeed, 23 nightmarish job descriptions I can't believe are real. The author of this is Hannah Marder. Job requires 10 years of experience, but paid barely over minimum wage.
You serious?
So if minimum wage in the area is $15, this is paying $17 to $22 an hour. Some of you are saying, well, that's real good money. But you need web development design, 10 years preferred, graphic art designs, 10 years preferred. So 20 plus combined years of experience in something that they want, but they're paying pretty on the lower end of what is even acceptable for most modern jobs.
Well, that's real good money.
Nightmarish job descriptions. I wonder why no one's applying.
Well, that's real good money.
No one wants to work.
What the industry needs is conversations like this.
Thursdays are for
DYOJO Podcast.
What are you, stupid? Mindset change.
helping contractors shorten their dang learning curve.
Once you get to the point where you're not willing to listen or not willing to learn, you pound sand.
DYOJO Podcast.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Complete hogwash.